श्रील प्रभुपाद की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञान ते मेरा ओके। This is chapter canto 7 chapter 2 verse number 48. वितथाभिनिवेशोऽयं यद्गुणेषु अर्थदृग्विचः यथा मनोरथा स्वप्नः सर्वम् ऐन्द्रियकं वृषा। वितथाभिनिवेशोऽयं यद्गुणेषु अर्थदृग्वचः यथा मनोरथा स्वप्नः सर्वम् ऐन्द्रियकं वृषा। वितथाभिनिवेशोऽयं यद्गुणेषु अर्थदृग्वचः यथा मनोरथा स्वप्नः सर्वम् ऐन्द्रियकं वृषा। What word meaning, translation, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Like to read the verse. He's saying
वितथाभिनिवेशोऽयं
वितथाभिनिवेशो
विशेषोऽयं यद्गुणेषु अर्थदग्विचः
यद्गुणेषु अर्थदृग्वचः
यथा मनोरथ
स्वप्नः
सर्वम् ऐन्द्रियकं वृषा।
सर्वम् ऐन्द्रियकं वृषा। You want to say? शताभिनिवेशोऽयं यद्गुणेषु अर्थदृग्वचः मनोरथा स्वप्नः
विथाभिनिवेशोऽयं यद्
विथाभिनिवेशोऽयं
विथा
next verse.
यद गुणे सव अर्थ दृग्वचः यथा मनोरथा स्वप्न सर्वम् ऐन्द्रियकं रसा।
I think you have another problem. I'm not sure.
Is it? I don't know.
Must be something.
No one informed me.
Okay, translation and purport. What word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. तथा fruitless अभिनिवेशः the conception ayam this yat which guneshu in the modes of material nature artha as a fact drikvachaha the seeing and talking of yatha just as manoratha a mental concoction daydream swapnaha a dream sarvam everything andriyakam produced by the senses vrisha false. Translation: it is fruitless to see and talk of the material modes of nature and the resultant so-called happiness and distress as if they were factual. When the mind wanders during the day and a man begins to think himself extremely important, or when he dreams at night and sees a beautiful woman enjoying with him, these are merely false dreams. Similarly, the happiness and distress caused by the material senses should be understood to be meaningless. Purport: the happiness and distress derived from the activities of the material senses are not actual happiness and distress. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita speaks of happiness that is transcendental to the material conception of life. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriya. When our senses are purified of material contamination, they become atindriya, transcendental senses. And when the transcendental senses are engaged in the service of the master of the senses, Rishikesh, one can derive real transcendental pleasure. Whatever distress or happiness we manufacture by mental concoction through the subtle mind has no reality, but is simply a mental concoction. One should therefore not imagine so called happiness through mental concoction. Rather, the best course is to engage the mind in the service of the Lord Rishikesh and thus feel real blissful life. There is a Vedic statement, Apam Somam Amrita Abhuma Apsarobhir Viharama. With reference to such a conception, one wants to go to the heavenly planets to enjoy with the young girls there and drink Somarasa. Such imaginary pleasure, however, has no value. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.23, Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamedasham. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Even if by fruitive activity or worship of the demigods one is elevated to the higher planetary systems for sense enjoyment, his situation is condemned in Bhagavad Gita as antavat perishable. The happiness one enjoys in this way is like the pleasure of embracing a young woman in a dream. For some time it may be pleasing, but actually the basic principle is false. The mental concoctions of happiness and distress in this material world are compared to dreams because of their falseness. All thoughts of obtaining happiness by using the material senses have a false background and therefore have no meaning. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishwanamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namne नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौर तुषे नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते एवरीवन प्लीज जय श्री ओम नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
What's that to other people?
Huh?
What's that to other people?
They have become invisible. They have become invisible. Hare Krishna. So this is a beautiful series of verses going on, helping us to understand the fruitless endeavor in trying to be happy through our material mind and senses, especially in this verse being told. In the previous verse, it was talking about how the mind is so important factor for the living entity's transmigration, and how the mind, if it is absorbed in Krishna, then it can attain the ultimate perfection of life also. But if it is engaged in some kind of fruitive activities, then it has to take birth again and again in this material world. So Prabhupada tells in the purport about how by engaging the mind in devotional service, the lotus feet of the Lord, Savay Mana Krishna Padara Vidya, then one can actually be purified, and then one will get all the direction from the super soul, and that's how one can go back to Godhead. Now in this verse, now this is talking about how this whole program of material enjoyment is simply illusion. Very beautifully explained. So every living entity is actually trying to become happy. That's the earnest endeavor of every living entity, because by nature the living entity is pleasure seeking. It's called Anandamayo Abhyasat. So living entities cannot live without pleasure. That's its innate nature to always seek pleasure. Cannot be stopped, no matter in what state of life a living entity is. But it cannot just help itself but to seek pleasure. That's its nature. So, and the real pleasure what the living entity can derive is only in union with the Lord, in connection with the Lord. When he's engaged in the service of the Lord, and the reciprocation of love happens between the Lord and the living entity, then only he can be truly happy. Otherwise, it's not possible. So, real happiness lies only on the platform of love between the Lord and the living entity. Otherwise, the living entity cannot become happy. So when the living entity is not engaged as per his constitutional position in the service of the Lord, being in union with the Lord, having love for the Lord, when the exchange of love is not happening, then the living entity is actually not situated in the platform of happiness. That what is seeking pleasure, that is only possible in that relationship. Otherwise, it is not possible. So when the living entity comes to this material world and he wants to become happy independent of the Lord, when that kind of desire comes, so then what can only happen is illusion only, because the real happiness only exists on the platform of love between the Lord and the living entity, when the active reciprocation of love is happening. But when he comes to the material world, so there will be attempt to become happy, because that's the nature of the living entity, as we discussed. The living entity is pleasure seeking, anandmaya abhyasa. That attempt of becoming happy will be there from the side of the living entity, but the living entity has denied the real platform of happiness. So then it has to settle, to some kind of platform, but a platform to find happiness. But actually, that platform is a false platform. That divinity can never become happy. That's not possible itself. So that's why the whole program in the material world to become happy is a big illusion. It's a big illusion going on to become happy. That's why Prahlad Maharaj says the only way the living entity can become happy in this material world is to stop trying to search for happiness. So that's the way. So if we seeking pleasure on some false platform, which is not meant for giving happiness, it's not meant for giving pleasure, then how can the living entity become happy? It's not possible. It's a false platform, actually. So that's why here Prabhupada beautifully says, the verse itself, vitatha means fruitless. So this abhinivesha, this conception that to find happiness on this platform in which the modes of material natures are interacting and the living entity is trying to become happy some way. So it is fruitless to see and talk of the material modes of nature and the resultant so-called happiness and distress. It looks like factual, but actually there is no happiness there. So Srila Prabhupada says the happiness and distress derived from the activities of the material senses are not actual happiness and distress. It is some kind of feeling of happiness, feeling of distress, but there is no actual happiness or distress there. Yahi sanspashada bhoga dukha yonevate adi antavanta kante nateshuram devata. Is the verse. It says that when the living entity is trying to engage the senses in the object of senses, so what experience is there actually is the source of so-called experience of pleasure, is the source of misery actually. So that so-called experience of pleasure is not the real pleasure actually. That is illusion, some kind of illusory experience, which a living entity mistake it to be happiness, and actually that becomes the cause of troubles, misery. That's why Bhagavad Gita explains that the real platform of becoming happy is not on material platform, not within the three modes of material nature, but one should actually transcend. One should purify the senses, because the senses are affected by the three modes. So because of the contaminated senses, when the senses are engaged, senses will be engaged in sense objects because it is under modes. So that's how the divinity's attempt to become happy will not be successful, because under three modes, the divinities are contaminated. Senses are contaminated. So, and it's trying to enjoy. That's not possible. It's a false platform. So that's why he's saying that divinity has to actually transcend. That means he has to purify the senses. So when the senses are purified, then only the living entity can actually, naturally engage the senses in the service of the Lord. Now, when we are not purified, when the senses are contaminated, then also we can engage in the service of the Lord in the direction of spiritual master. That's the whole sadhana bhakti program. So that program is actually to purify the senses. So this is a special, wonderful arrangement. That even in contaminated senses also, when we are still within the modes, so the living entity is helped by the Lord, by a spiritual master. So under his order, when the living entity is trying to engage the activity in different activities of devotional service, engaging his mind and senses, so that leads to purification actually, because coming in touch with the Lord, the senses and mind becomes purified. So when the and as in the when the senses and mind are actually purified, then the real service begins. No, once the purification has happened, then the real platform of servitude begins actually. In contaminated state also, by the mercy of a spiritual master, our services are accepted by the Lord. That is the mercy of spiritual master, mercy of the Supreme Lord. Though actually speaking, the real devotional service begins only on the on the platform of purified senses, truly speaking. But that's why we have this, all the devotional activities we do, through spiritual master, via media of spiritual master, because we are, we are within the three modes. Our senses and mind are not purified, so it's so it's actually, not the real platform of devotional service in that sense, because contaminated mind and senses, how we can serve. We have material mind and senses, how we can serve. The Lord is spiritual, is completely pure. So what help is given to the living entities? The spiritual master. Through spiritual master, we offer our service. So spiritual master is very merciful. So he engages the conditioned souls like all of us, especially me, the conditioned souls to engage in different, devotional activities. So even though we may not be purified, but or we may not be on the pure platform, but still the Lord accepts the service. So that's why when we offer bhoga to the Lord, so we always have spiritual master. Same way when we are singing also, we are doing any devotional activity. So we should always think that I'm simply trying to please my spiritual master. So we are offering our service to spiritual master. And the spiritual master, offers it further. And then it actually, then Radha and Krishna, they accept. So Radha and Krishna, they are not interested in the offering of conditions or in actually in oneself, because it's filled with so much of contamination. But because there is an intent to develop love and get purification, and by the mercy of the Lord, only the spiritual master is there. So when the living entity, with that sincere intent, tries to render service with his contaminated mind and senses, uh, then because of the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master, he gets engaged in the devotional service, and then he becomes purified. And when the senses are purified of all material contamination, then they become atindriya. Become atantikam yattad. Buddhigrayam atindriya. So then the senses become atindriya. Atindriya means they become transcendental. And when the transcendental service, when the transcendental senses are engaged in the service of the master of the senses, Rishikesh, then one can derive real transcendental, then the real happiness one can truly experience. In conditioned state also, Lord is so merciful, that even though we may not be completely purified of our mind and senses, but the nature of devotional service is that it is bliss producing. So every living entity, every conditioned soul can experience, some bliss of that real transcendental pleasure, even on the contaminated platform also, because his service is being accepted by the Lord through the spiritual master. So the devotional service, he's getting engaged in that. So he will surely experience some happiness. That's for sure. So it's not that it's only when the senses are fully purified, then only at that time only he will experience. That time he experiences the real transcendental pleasure in full blossomed manner experiences. But the nature of devotional service is because he comes in touch with the Lord through spiritual master, the conditioned soul. Purification also happens, and the living entity gets bliss also. Both things happens. So like that. So that's why the sadhakas are also encouraged by the Lord. The devotional service enlivens even the person who is not yet purified also. It's very enlivening. We see that how, even sometimes people are very grossly, covered. They may be like drunkard and smoking and they may do all varieties of mental activities. But when the Harinam Sankirtan is going on, when Harinam Sankirtan happens, so then even they become enlightened. That's the nature of devotional service, because it directly nourishes the soul. Though it's very covered, but the devotional service is so powerful. So when the holy name is chanted by a pure Vaishnava, and the living entity somehow come in association of such wonderful pure Vaishnava and hears the holy name chanted by him, so then he can become enlivened. And when further one continues to perform sadhana bhakti process, then after some time gradually the one gets purified more and more, and that's how one can actually experience more and more devotional happiness by engaging in devotional service more and more. So he says, whatever distress or happiness we manufacture by mental concoction through the subtle mind has no reality, but is simply a mental concoction. One should therefore not imagine so-called happiness through mental concoction. Rather, the best course is to engage the mind in the service of the Lord, Rishikesh, and thus feel real blissful life. So this actually any kind of happiness what in the material platform we try to derive is actually nothing but mental concoction only. It's all imaginative. Mind imagines to be mind imagines different ways of becoming happy. This way, so it concocts, it creates different kinds of illusory ideas, thinking that this is actually the happiness which I'll get. So this is how the mind always keeps doing. This is the function of the mind. Always keep concocting, and this concoction can only stop only when we hear in Guru Parampara, when we understand what the real way to become happy. Otherwise, we will always keep concocting, and it will never stop. Just not possible to stop, because we are pleasure seeking. And we don't know how to become happy. Then what simply remains the option is just concoct. And the mind will keep concocting, and the mind is, as we know, is influenced by the illusory energy of the Lord. So, like the mind gets empowered to concoct more and more different varieties of ways to become happy. That's what we find, like in Western countries, there is no end to the concoctions of finding the ways and means to become. No end. It just goes on and on. So many ways, the mind is concocting to become happy. All the research, scientific advancement, technological advancement, just to increase this, enhance this mental concoction to become happy. And people are cheated like anything, so much. So this all concoctions can be stopped only by hearing from Guru Parampara, only by knowing the right way to become happy. Otherwise, we have to simply concoct only. Like a child who's hungry, he needs food. He doesn't get mother and there is no real food. And what child will do is only concoct. It will take maybe mud, it will take, or it will eat something, whatever is surrounding here and there, something he will do because he's hungry. He doesn't understand. He needs food, by the mother. That's why the concoction will go on. So this concoction can be only stopped only when we hear submissively in Guru Parampara. ज्ञाने प्रयास उदपास्य नमंत एव जीवंति सन्मुखरितां भवतीय वार्तां स्थाने स्थिता श्रुतिगतां तनुवांग मनोभिर यह प्रायशो अजित जितोपि त्रैस्त्रिलोक्यम्. So Jnane Prayas, actually, this is also mental speculation. So many varieties of speculation one does to become happy. But if somebody can simply sit down and hear, Namanta Eva, somebody becomes submissive to the Guru Parampara, Namanta Eva, Jivanta Sanmukharitam Bhavati Eva. When he hears the glories of the Lord from the spiritual master in Guru Parampara, then actually everything, everything will happen in the sense that he will get the real understanding of how he can become happy, and by engaging in, and that's how he'll be engaged in devotional service, and also his senses will become purified, become atindriya, senses will be eventually being purified, and then one can be situated on the real platform of happiness. So this is very important, to very submissively hear and read and do our sadhana bhakti program, because otherwise we'll just keep concocting, just can't be stopped. So and everybody has their own ways, find the means and ways to become happy. That's all concoction going on. So then he says, there is a Vedic statement, apama somam amrita, abhuma apsarobhir vibhrama. With reference to such a conception, one wants to go to heavenly planets to enjoy with the young girls there and drink somarasa. Such imaginary pleasure, however, has no value. because it says that in Bhagavad Gita 7.23 it is said, Antavattu phalam tesham tat bhavati alpa medusham. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods and their fruits are limited and temporary. Even if by fruitive activity of worship of the demigods one is elevated to the higher planetary systems for sense enjoyment, his situation is condemned in Bhagavad Gita as antavat, that is perishable. This is one of the thing about any kind of material happiness is it's first thing is illusory. It's not the real platform become happiness. One thing. Second thing is it is also temporary. Adi antavant. So that is it has a beginning and end also. It doesn't last for long. Any kind of happiness, any kind of material happiness, not last for long. So that is temporary. That is one of the aspect of material pleasure. And the first aspect what we discussed was illusory. That means it can never satisfy the soul, no matter what, because it's on the false platform. So one cannot become happy like that. And then he said, the happiness one enjoys in this way is like the pleasure of embracing a young woman in a dream. For some time it may be pleasing, but actually the basic principle is false. The mental concoctions of happiness and distress in this material world are compared to dreams because of their falseness. All thoughts of obtaining happiness by using the material senses have a false background and therefore have no meaning. So it's like a dream also. Scriptures talk about this material happiness also like a dream, because person imagines that he is happy in certain situations of life. Like Prabhupada says also, like sometimes a man may think that his head is cut and he is great agony in the dream. He thinks like that, and he's sweating, and then he gets and he's seeing also his head is cut. And if the question comes that head is cut, then who is seeing the head is cut? So he, falsely thinking that he's actually in tremendous agony. It has no reality, in the sense that just like the person who is dreaming, that some kind that illusory dream, what is going on, it has no reality to the person's this life. Same way, whatever is happening in the material world, it actually has no connection with the eternal soul. Like somebody may be thinking I'm president of America. Somebody may be thinking I'm father of this son. Somebody may be thinking his husband. Somebody thinking I'm his wife, she's wife, his brother or sister. This is all, it has no connection with soul. Soul is not father of that particular soul. So it's simply, some kind of illusory role we take up in this world. And that's how we then have so much of pains and pleasure, experience of pains and pleasure. So we first take that illusory role, it's called misidentification. And then in connection to that, further so many illusory ideas. Now I got separated from this loved one. Now this loved one has gone away. Now this person is not cooperating with me. So many ways like that. So this is how the whole metal platform is actually a platform of illusion that way. So and that is only possible. And to come out of this illusion, we have to take the shelter of Guru Parampara and understand our real position as servant of Krishna. So till we don't understand our real position as servant of Krishna, servant of Guru, and understanding that we have eternal life of bliss and knowledge in the spiritual world, and we are eternally engaged in the service of the Lord. Till the time we don't understand this clearly, that time we will not be able to come out of this illusory understanding, because we need to identify with something. If we don't identify with our real position, then we'll be identifying with all these things. It's not possible to come out. So only when we not just believe, but we really live like that, we really meditate that way, deeply take it to our heart that I am the servant of Guru, I'm servant of Krishna, and actually engage in devotional activities, which are actually will reinforce our this identity. So then gradually we become purified of all these illusory designations. We become more and more awakened soul. We become awakened to the reality, and then the illusion can be stopped, like that it is. Otherwise, it's just not possible to come out of the illusion. Like the Jnanis, Mayavadis, because they don't understand they are servant of the Lord, so they may do a lot of austerities also, to deny the material pleasures, to deny the family members. They may do so much of all this. But because they don't understand they are servant of Krishna, this understanding they don't reach to. So their concoctions to become happy will not stop. Then they have concoctions, that okay, let me merge, let me become God, let me merge in some impersonal God, and that's how I'll become happy. Like that is also concoction. Prabhupada is the last layer of Maya. That is also become. They also are illusion. That so nobody can be freed from illusion. Even the great so-called great Gyanis also, because they are not taking shelter of the Lord. Until unless one comes to the real platform of understanding that I am servant of Krishna, I am servant of Guru, then it's not possible to come out of these illusory conceptions. That's not possible. So that's why Srila Prabhupada, he so much has emphasized on this Sambandha Gyan, understanding our position as servant of Krishna. Divira Sarupa hai Krishnera Nityata. Again and again, time and again. I am servant of Krishna. I am not servant of money. I am servant of Krishna. I am not servant of my family members. I am servant of Krishna. I am not servant of this particular boss of my company. So I am servant of Krishna only. Krishna and Krishna only. Right? Actually, everybody has their own God. Some people may, because everybody is serving. So like Srila Prabhupada writes in introduction of Bhagavad Gita, that Bhagavad Gita can be understood only in the submissive spirit. At least theoretically, one has to accept Krishna as Supreme Personality of God. It says that. I was thinking that Prabhupada is so much like encouraging, and somebody is coming from a background where he had no understanding of Krishna. Okay, let's understand theoretically that Krishna is Supreme Personality of God and become submissive and engage in the devotional service. And gradually, as you engage in devotional service, you'll be able to understand Krishna as Supreme Personality of God. It says that way. So I was thinking that, see, so the person becoming devotee of Krishna, so that means he'll devote his time and energy to Krishna now. That means he has to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He has to do some services. He has to hear Bhagavad Gita. So he has to devote his time and energy. So that's what Prabhupada is demanding. You become devotee of Krishna. At least theoretically accept Krishna as God and become a devotee of Krishna. So people have accepted something else as God. They accepted their company as God. That will devote their time and energy there. People accepted money as God. Then they will not do everything. Devote all their time and energy and conscience, everything to get money. That way they are actually engaged that way. Same way somebody may be devoted to family. So for them the family is God. Somebody may be devoted to some woman. Woman is God. And somebody devoted to the country. The country is God for them. So like that, everybody have their own God in this world. Because everybody is servant. When you give up the real God, then you catch hold to so many illusory gods. So many gods in this world. So we just keep serving so many illusory masters. God, not leaving the supreme master, Krishna, the original master. And all these illusory masters, they have no capacity to actually give us the nourishment, protect us, to maintain us, to enliven us, to uplift us, to nourish us. So have no capacity. They themselves are into the clutches of illusory energy. So that's how when we give up the service to the law of God, the real God, then we will get into so many of illusory gods. So Prabhupada said, when you don't serve God, then you serve dog, like that. So you cannot be without service. So many dogs and cats you have to serve. Sometimes I've seen that one person has four dogs. How so many dogs is maintaining? And they may not have any family members also. No wife, no kids, nothing.
They take for a walk.
Yeah, but they must be having also.
One person, he employed, so he takes the dog.
Oh,
It depends.
okay. I don't know. I thought 4, 6, 6 or 5 dogs they have at their house. Okay. But yeah, I mean, like that. So they have to do like we do Abhishek of the Lord, the deity we do. So they will do Abhishek of the dog, or they will do Abhishek of something they'll do. They will dress the dog. They will decorate the dog. One dog was there, it has some kind of at the leg, some kind of this thing. I asked Jacob Prabhu, what is this? They have what kind of dress they put? They said, no, it's not dress. They have trimmed the hair in a way that the leg has certain kind of appearance like a dress, as if like some shocks is the dog is wearing some shocks. So the whole attention goes in decorating the dog like that. So because God is not there, full attention will go there. And then there are some parlors also of dog. So many things like that. So you can see how the Jiva has made so many people as God in this world. That's why it's very logical. Prabhupada says, at least you theoretically accept Krishna as God and you serve, and then you can experience something real happiness, something real, some real experience will get. And then you can, and Krishna also be happy to reveal himself more and more. And then you can, understand Krishna, and then Krishna won't remain theoretical for you. Krishna will become very realistic. He'll become real for you when you start engaging in service of the Lord. And you have anyway tried to serve this illusory master so many lifetimes. So why not, now attempt to serve Krishna? What's the problem? You try, explore. Anyway, exploring. You're concocting so many ways. Why don't you, accept this? Accept Krishna, and then when you serve Krishna, then you can experience the real happiness eventually. So, and as we trying to assist in this preaching mission, we should also be convinced that if people some other if they get engaged in devotional service, actually they will become purified and they will be able to heartily accept Krishna as Supreme Personality of God. That will happen. That will happen. We should be very sure about it because Krishna is the Supreme God, and the living entity is looking for his connection with Krishna. That is there, and he will be happy when he serves Krishna. So we should be, feeling great joy if somebody accepts Krishna as Supreme Personality of God and gets engaged in devotion service, some other like that, because his all attempts to become happy were illusory. But now this attempt, in terms of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra or doing some devotional service, is not illusory because that is a real practice. This is a real thing actually. So one should be very happy, seeing that happening, and soon the person, if he continues like that, by Krishna's grace, because of engaging in devotional service, he'll be purified, and then he'll become truly happy. That way it is. So this is the a very important point that everybody needs Krishna, and everybody should be engaged in the service of Krishna. Then only they can come out of this illusory, concocted platforms of happiness. Otherwise, we cannot stop it. We cannot stop. No matter how intelligent the person is in this material world, but he will have his own concoctions to become happy. It's all like that. So actually, that's why he's not intelligent, because the intelligent person will actually come to the real platform of happiness. That is serving Krishna. That's why Jai Bhaje Krishna Sai Bada Chatur. Only who worships Krishna, who engages in devotional service, is only the intelligent person. All other people are big fools. They're fools only because they don't know the real platform of happiness. All their big degrees, their big fame has no meaning because they don't know the real platform of happiness. Their happiness is simply concoctions within the three modes of material nature, and that's how they're trying to engage in so many varieties of activities to become happy like that. So as sadhaka, we have to feel very fortunate that at least we have got the real understanding how I can become happy, how I can truly become happy, not trying to find happiness in this world. Like other we were discussing that somebody is falling into the ocean. So instead of trying to remain dry, not become wet, once you come out of the ocean. So within the three modes, when you're trying to become happy, you can never become happy. Within this material world, you want to become happy, you can never become happy. So we have to come out of this material world, to come out of the three modes of material. The only way is to perform devotional service. That's why, Mam Cheva Vicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate. Sa Gunanam Samatityatan Pramukh Bhaya Kalpate. When you engage in devotional service of the Lord, automatically we can transcend these three modes of material nature. That's the only way. Nobody except devotee who engages in devotional service of the Lord can transcend these three modes. No other person can transcend. No no karmi, no jnani, no yogi, no other person. Only bhaktas, only a devotees of the Lord. They can only be, only they can come out. So we are all sadhakas, we are all in the process. So we may be attacked by the three modes, but at least this conviction that this platform where we may get deviated to is not the real platform. So we may sometimes get kicked. We try to concoct our own way. This way I'll become happy. But the degree we actually hear very nicely in Guru Parampara, to that degree we can save our time also. Otherwise, to that degree that connection is poor, then we will also search out our own concocted things, by the influence of other, maybe bad association, other people, those who are also in three modes. So that bad association is available. So then we will also waste a lot of our time. Then we will not very sincerely and intensely engage in devotion service. Right? So that's why we have to sincerely engage, sincerely hear. So basically, I'm saying, so hearing saves time. So if you very sincerely engage and hear, especially Shavanam. Shavanam Kirtana happens good, then we are always alert to engage in devotional service only. Then we can be aloof from the concoctions which our mind keeps time and again will start concocting. Maybe this I should do, by this I'll become happy. Maybe that I should do, by this I'll become happy. So as sadhaka we may waste a lot of time that. So we should know that the only way to become happy is engaging in devotion. Today is Ekadashi also. So the mind may say so many things to do. Maybe I should do this, I should do that. But we can take this resolution. Ultimately, I need Krishna. And when I'm with Krishna, then there's everything. Why we need something else? We need only Krishna. So and Krishna is directly coming in the form of holy name. So why not be with Krishna? Why not spend time with Krishna? He is ready to give time. We are not having time. So we are very much busy in our affairs within the three modes. Having so much of concoctions that this will make me happy, that will make me happy. Maybe the prasadam if I eat, that will make me happy. If I talk to that person, will make me happy. So many ways, no. So mind does not agree, to take the real platform of happiness. That is to engage in service of the Lord, to chant the holy name of the Lord, to hear the holy name of the Lord. So such days like Ekadashi, we can take some resolution that I just want to be with Krishna. Because when we are with Krishna, then all our needs, all our emotions, whatever we need, everything is satisfied. Because Krishna is all absolute. So one devotee was saying that, of course, it's very difficult thing to realize sometimes. We may be very toddler in our realization. But he was saying that sometimes some devotee, they may leave the temple hall, may go to sunlight, and they may say, okay, I'll be jogging and, in sunlight, I will get some energy. So it's good for health. I should be under sun. So that way, I will be doing outside something. So he was saying, Arey, when you're chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the holy name has all the potencies. So even the potency of the sun also is there. So why you need to go out and do so many things while chanting the holy name of the Lord? You chant, just chant that way. So be in the temple hall, you can just keep chanting. Because holy name, it will fulfill all the whatever we need, everything is there. That conviction we should try to develop more. So we don't have to search anything outside. The same way, all these emotions, whatever people keep worrying about, some emotional support, I'm not getting this reciprocation, that emotional need, this emotional need, of whatever needs. So it's all Krishna can be, through Krishna it can be fulfilled, everything. Yeah. So one can find that fullness within his heart. Then he won't try to unnecessarily get into so many affairs in this world. People want to get into so much of socialization or social media, chatting, connecting, so much of things goes on that the name of trying to satisfy myself, my emotional needs, my this need, that need, so many things. And people waste a lot of time they waste. But but actually, one who understands that actually Krishna is the source of all emotions and everything. Jai Prasade Pure Sarvash. If you serve this master, if you connect to Krishna, then all my material, not material, all my desires, the soul's desire is completely satisfied, completely satisfied. So if only I am being with Krishna, then I can experience complete fullness. Actually, that's possible. So this is what Shastras are talking about. So that's why when we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then all our needs can be fulfilled, and then one can find the fullness that way, and then one can actually become very stable also, very stably situated. I mean, all these hankerings, all these lamentations, so all thing, everything can be resolved. Nothing will be there because it's feeling full satisfaction. That's like ocean is feeling the fullness. So many things may be coming, rivers, rivulets may be coming, but the ocean remains full. That so many desires or some concoctions. Maybe I should do this, I should do that. So that won't make sense to devotee because experiencing fullness with Krishna like that. So there are experience of many devotees, those who on Ekadashi they just chant continuously. So they find such a blissful experience sometimes. Some devotees they share this because they could just sit and they could chant whole day. So they find that they just feel that this is what I really needed to be with Krishna. But sometimes we keep our lingering, this I have to do, that I have to do, this problem I have to sort out, this and then we give up the chanting and we go for some solving so many things. So then we anyway keep busy with our problem solving affairs. That will go on because the unending problems. There's no end to the problems. There's no end to issues. There's no end to issues, no end to problems. So that by design, the material world is like this. So one should actually gradually develop this conviction that I need Krishna. Krishna is needed in my life. Shunya itam jagat sarva. Govinda virahena. So, but for us, it may be sometimes, Krishna becomes Shunya. And we have separation from so many affairs. So it may be opposite sometimes. So a devotee ideally, should gradually develop this mode that without Krishna, everything is null and void. So all have no much value. So at least some days like this Ekadashi, we can, take this some kind of resolution that today I want to spend time with Krishna. My mind will give me so many proposals, so many varieties of concoctions. This will make me happy, that will make me happy. Let me with Krishna. Of course, we may have services, that's fine. We may have some urgent service to do and all. That is wonderful. But something unnecessarily which is not related to Krishna. Why to unnecessarily waste our time there? That's the point. So let us pause here. If there is any reflection or any question, we can. Time is up, but still till the time conscious blows. Any reflection or any comments, questions? Yes, Prabhu.
There are little bits of understanding of life ordinary people have. Songs every little kid in this country learn very young. Row, 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 gently down the stream. Merrily, merrily. Life is but a dream. Because people have, there are realizations throughout the consciousness of them. It has to, unless it's specifically pointed out and made concrete right here in Bodhi. You can't, nobody can put everything together. Nobody can actually understand. But the conditioned soul, even the conditioned soul, is still a pure spirit soul. And there is some consciousness in everyone, like, what is this world? Crazy place, is it a dream? What is it? But it just has to be made specific, definite, pure devotee. And then it's not hard to understand. It makes everything make sense very easily. Krishna, God is a person, and Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. It's not hard to accept if you hear it in disciplined succession, no matter where, what country you're from, or what you've learned, what religion you were raised in.
Correct.
There's I remember one line from one song from a popular artist when I was about 18 or 20. He's a well-known musical artist, and he had one line in his song that said, "You are locked into your suffering, and your pleasures are the seal." It's a good realization.
There, Gita also tells that the sense of happiness through this concocted program, sense gratification, is the very enemy of the soul. The enemy of the soul. That kind of pleasure blocks him. Enemy. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे